Okay, so we're all familiar with what's going on in reference to the investigation between the commercial airliner and the military Black Hawk colliding in midair. And, we all have different theories and explanations. I found this amazing video that breaks it down, gives us a good visual. I'm going to give you my thoughts in reference to it, kind of points out potential issues and what possibly went wrong on this particular day, you guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Before we get into that, prayers out to the family and those who have lost loved ones. I believe maybe 67 have passed away. They're in the process of still trying to remove bodies out of that river. I believe it's a river that the plane and the helicopter landed in. So complete tragedy, you guys. But let's talk about what actually happened to the best of our ability, what we know now. So this video is put out by AI Telly. Let's take a look at this great breakdown.
Earlier that evening, a PSA Airlines aircraft operated under American Airlines and identified as Flight AA5342 collided midair with a military Black Hawk helicopter at approximately 9 p.m. on Wednesday, January 29, 2025. The tragic incident occurred as the plane was making its final approach toward Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. American Airlines confirmed that 64 people were aboard the jet, 60 passengers and 4 crew members, while 3 soldiers were aboard the military helicopter. This plane's radio transponder stopped transmitting about 2,400 feet, which is around 730 meters short of the runway, roughly over the middle of the river. This has marked the first major U.S. commercial crash in more than 15 years. From an aerial perspective, it is evident that Flight AA5342 was approaching the airport from the south, descending over the scenic Potomac River. The Potomac River, which encircles the airport and much of Arlington, serves as a natural boundary and offers breathtaking views for arriving flights. However, this area is also densely trafficked, both by air and on the ground, adding to the complexity of air traffic management in the region. American Airlines Flight 5342, which we'll refer to as the landing flight, was on its final approach to runway 33. At this stage, called short final, the aircraft was mere moments from landing, flying at an altitude of about 400 feet.
All right, let me stop it here. Let me break down so far what's going on. This airport, okay, is one of the busiest airports as it relates to how congested the planes are coming in. It's very, very active, according to a lot of people who work here and things like that, stated that there's a lot of flights going in and out. Not only that, this Black Hawk helicopter was conducting a military training exercise in a very, very high traffic commercial plane area. They're literally doing it right in front of the airport. Apparently, this exercise is considered a continuity of government exercise, meaning that in the event all hell breaks loose in our country and our government leadership is threatened, this is a particular exercise to get out the next leader out of the country or out of the area due to whatever is going on. All right. So the continuity of government, meaning that this is the survival of our government leadership. So this aircraft or this Black Hawk is supposed to be able to maneuver under, I would assume, high stress situations. And so this is the exercise that they were doing. The problem is here you see the landing flight, right, of the commercial plane is operating at 400 feet. You guys, apparently, Black Hawk, the helicopters inside this commercialized space, this airspace, they're only supposed to operate below 300 feet. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, we don't know, this is a fault, an error on the pilot, the helicopter pilot. They were operating above 350 feet. Okay, so the question is, it's obvious, if they were operating below 300 feet, they would have basically flew underneath the commercial airliner. That is one of the biggest clues in this entire incident. The second problem is the fact that they met. They're both traveling around the same speed. I think the highest speed that the Black Hawk can fly at is like 140 miles per hour. But the timing, you just can't, something about the timing to me is suspicious. All right. The timing is suspicious. It'd be one thing if the helicopter was operating at its proper altitude then it'd be like, okay, well, this is a freak accident. But it's just too many things are off for this to be a training exercise. The question will be is who was doing this? Who was flying the helicopter? Was this training the first time they'd done this training? And from my understanding, this is a routine training course, right? Or a routine training practice. So obviously, someone with experience flying in this busy airspace would know the proper protocols, where to fly at, what altitude, so forth and so on. So this is very suspicious. All right. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
This is the most critical phase of landing where every second counts and pilots are laser focused on safely bringing the plane down. At the same time, an Army Black Hawk helicopter, identified as PAC-25, was reportedly on a possible training flight. It was flying perpendicular to the flight path of Flight 5342, following the course of the Potomac River. The Potomac River is a designated flight corridor for helicopters, and it's common to see aircraft like this operating in the area. The key difference between the two aircraft in this scenario was their operating rules. The Black Hawk helicopter, PAC-25, was flying under visual flight rules. This means it was required to rely on visual observation of its surroundings to avoid other aircraft. The landing flight 5342 was operating under instrument flight rules, which give it priority over VFR flights in controlled airspace. This system assumes that VFR aircraft will actively maintain visual separation to avoid conflicts. Moments before the collision, the air traffic control tower at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport called PAC-25 to confirm whether they had the other aircraft in sight. PAC-25 responded that they did. At first glance, this seems like an acknowledgement that they were aware of Flight 5342's presence and were taking steps to avoid it. However, it now seems likely that PAC-25 had mistakenly identified a different aircraft, possibly a departing flight from the same airport, and believed that was the other aircraft referred to by the tower.
What they are stating is that they believe, based on the communications that were had by the tower and by the helicopter pilot, is that when the tower inquired about, hey, do you see this commercial plane? The helicopter pilot was like, yeah, we see it. We're clear on them. We see it. We're going to avoid them. So right now, it looks like it might be the plane that they're talking about was the one that was actually taking off from the airport, not the one that was coming to land, that was on their left, okay, on their distant left. This is where people could say that the helicopter and air traffic control are equally responsible for this accident. Why do I say that? Air traffic control had a responsibility to alert the helicopter pilot of the airliner, which they did. The question is, which airplane were they actually referring? The one taking off or the one about to land? We know it could not have been the one that was about to land because the air traffic controller did not specify, right? So there was no confirmation of which one are you talking about. The helicopter pilot may have obviously only observed the one that was taking off from the airport, because we know they didn't see the one that was trying to land because they ran into that one. So the question is, whose responsibility was that? The helicopter pilot said, hey, listen, I'm clear. I could see it. So there's obviously miscommunication. The question is, what is the protocol from air traffic control? Are they supposed to specify the location? Hey, that this plane is at your 12 o'clock, or hey, this plane is at northeast of you or northwest of you. This plane is southeast of you, right? Like, is air traffic control supposed to really kind of express where these potential obstacles are that they need to avoid? And I think that's really going to be the issue, because when you listen to the air traffic controller, it's like, hey, do you see the plane? And the helicopter's like, yeah, we see the plane. And then they come back in, hey, you see the plane? Yeah, we see it. Okay, well, are you sure you see it? Because it's there. So the question is, who went wrong on this part? And then the second question is, how did the helicopter pilot not see the damn plane? Some people are saying they had on night vision goggles. I mean, yeah, night vision goggles, I get that, but the airplane has lights, okay? And those who have put on night vision goggles before, lights, you could see lights, okay? You could see lights. And again, they're night vision goggles. And this is a jet plane. This is a commercial plane, so it's not small. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And of course, you have the height difference thing, elevation difference. So I don't know. So, anyways, let's get back to the video.
Tragically, Pat 25 may not have realized that Flight 5342 was descending directly into its path. This misidentification could have led to the Black Hawk failing to adjust its course in time to avoid a collision. Although I'm not a pilot, this is what appears to have happened based on the available information. It's a heartbreaking incident that raises questions about how such misunderstandings can occur and what safety measures can prevent them in the future. If you have more insight or expertise, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.
You know, there's a lot of speculation. Unfortunately, it's weird that we've had a lot of planes fall out of the sky lately. Unfortunately, we had another one the next day, as of today, Philadelphia. It just torpedoed right out the sky, crashed into a neighborhood. I don't know. Here are the possible theories. There's only so many things that this could be as it relates to this incident. This could have been an accident due to gross negligence, on multiple parts. The way they're looking at it, they're saying that the commercial airline of the plane did nothing wrong, that they were at the right speed in the right direction, and they were lined up exactly how they're supposed to be in order to land the plane. The helicopter pilot could have exercised gross negligence. We don't know what happened inside that cockpit. We just don't know. We don't have a clue. The speed at which the helicopter was flying, we don't know. Is that standard speed? Could they have maneuvered if they saw the flight? Absolutely. Those Black Hawks, they can somersault, do cartwheels and flips in the air. They maneuver extremely well. Okay, so they had to have not seen the plane at all. And I find that hard to believe, you guys, because that plane has headlights. And this was at night. So all of those commercial planes have light. Sometimes I can look up in the sky. I mistake them for stars. I'm like, is that a star or is that a plane? It's hard to say this was an accident. It's very hard to say that this was an accident. There are 3 people on that helicopter, and I don't know what their responsibilities are while on the helicopter, but it's hard to believe they did not see the plane. And the other issue is the elevation at which the helicopter was operating in. According to the military, they shouldn't have been that high. At no point in time should they have been over 300 feet in the air. And the way they timed and they intersected, I mean, that's only something you could create in a movie. One could argue it takes a level of skill to time that. A level of skill. And to time a collision like that, when you have an object that's traveling faster than the helicopter, and the helicopter just the synchronization is suspicious to me. Then you have air traffic control, according to what they put out, identified the potential collision course late, extremely late. Like they should have saw there's an issue. But then you have the pattern of the helicopter doing a serpentine, right? They're doing this, right? One could argue to do what? Throw off air traffic control. Because if I'm showing I'm going in one way, then I'm not seeing any potential collision threats, right? If I'm snaking my pattern, it throws off air traffic control because you're like, at one point you're not in alignment with colliding with anything. And then you serpentine back another way, same thing. And then up until the perfect moment, you get right into alignment. You match speed, right? You match speed because the same landing speed was equivalent to the same speed the helicopter was making. At the right time, at the right moment, all stars aligned? I don't know, you guys. I don't know. What else could it be? It could have been an attack. This could have been an attack that the military is covering up. I mean, they lied about planes being shot out the sky, okay, saying it's a military exercise. Could this have been an attack? Absolutely, this could have been an attack. No one likes to have these conversations. It's an uncomfortable conversation. I'm just saying here are different theories. Could this have been a cyber attack on the helicopter? Absolutely. Could have been operated remotely against the people inside the helicopter. They had no control over it. Yeah. Could one of the soldiers on the plane defected? The question is, who was on the helicopter? The question is, why are you releasing two of the soldiers but not the third soldier? The third soldier is a female. Does that have something to do with it? I don't know. I'm just saying. Why is the military refusing to release that information? You release everybody else but the female pilot. What's the other issue? Who was on that commercial airliner? They just released that there are several Russian nationals that were on that plane. I'm just saying, you guys, when I look at these things, I'm looking at these things as an investigator, right? As an investigator, that's how I'm looking at it. I want to know, was this an attack? It's the first thing I'm focusing on. Was this an attack? And then we can work our way based off the evidence. We can work our way backwards into an accident. But I'm like, was this an attack? And if so, let's look at all the pieces. Who was on that plane? What other national groups? Who are they? What countries are they from? Was this an attack? Was this a terrorist attack? Or was this an attack from our government trying to attack someone that was on the plane? Okay, was this a CIA operation? Were they trying to take out a target by accident? Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. I gave you guys my explanation between the difference between the left and the right when it comes to taking out targets. One to blow up a car, the other blow up a stadium, all to get one person. Anyways, this is tragic. I don't think we should take away from the lives that were lost. A lot of beautiful lives. All of the lives are beautiful, and that's not this conversation. Not to take away from that, right? But again, we can't ignore the reality of the conversation that needs to be had. And so I just hope and pray that all transparency comes out, and that we get the truth, regardless of what happened. The truth comes out. If this was just a tragic accident, then let it be that. But if there's something more sinister at play, I pray that it gets revealed and the people accountable get held accountable. So, anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on it. What do you think? Was this just too? It's just too. Some of these tragic accidents, sometimes they do come off like this. Like there's just like, how could this have happened? Like it's just, what are the odds? And when it's those type of tragic accidents, what makes it a tragedy? It's like, what are the odds? But again, Occam's razor, right? Sometimes the simplest explanation is the explanation. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. Please, if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get your comments below. Good night. God bless.